year. Now this time, this better works. Okay, you know what? Having met many of you over the last 2 years, I have been nothing but impressed. The sheer amount of talent, creativity, and ideas that I have seen. Wow. And you know, not to mention the sheer tenacity when you're speaking your truths, especially at youth forums and panels, right guys? It gives me so much hope for the future. Now, as we look back over this year, what a year it has been. I don't think any of us, when we started the year, would have thought this is how it would have turned out, right? And, you know, I know it's not over yet, but just look at how much we have overcome. As a small country, look at how much we've done and how fast we've adapted to these challenges. And did you know that our actions were so impressive and so fast that we were even commended in a recent report by the United Nations for COVID-19? Yeah, I gotta be proud of that. We're proud of that. It has put Brunei on the map. Who would have thought, right? And you know, beyond all that, there has been a launch of so many new youth initiatives, collaborations, and an explosion of the creative arts. And that's just this year. It really is true that in every crisis, there is opportunity. Can we have the slides, please? And for us this year, that opportunity has been one of reflection. Like me, especially when we were all cooped up in our homes and in quarantine for some of us, we may start asking questions with all that anxiety and uncertainty that we may have been feeling, just like how His Royal Highness has mentioned. You may start asking questions like, what will happen next year? Or, for me, the most important question of all, when can we travel again? And the thing is, right, there are so many questions that we still don't know the answers to yet. And that feeling of the unknown and uncertainty may ask you even deeper questions. Questions like, what do I stand for? How can I make an impact in this world? And you see, those are really powerful questions to ask ourselves. As a kid, I used to have dreams of becoming a superhero, like Wonder Woman, or even Spider-Man. It's true, Spider-Man. But, you know, other than that, I also had dreams of becoming a doctor. I could imagine saving lives and how exciting it would be, all that adrenaline and rush, just like on TV. So I made it my ultimate goal, that dream of becoming a doctor. And as a kid, you share with your friends, so you tell your friends. But there are friends who instead would say to me, "Kau siapa? Pandai kan?" Basically saying, "Who do you think you are?" So I studied hard and got a scholarship to university to study medicine in London. The first year was okay. I went through. But the second year was when everything seemed to fall apart. When exams came, I failed so badly that I was on the verge of either getting kicked out of university and potentially losing my entire scholarship. And all I could think of was, how am I going to tell my parents? And you know, to make matters worse, I failed so badly that I was called in to see the dean at her office. She sat me down and said, "Look, just retake the year. That's your only hope, because I don't think you can pass the resets." So I took some time to reflect and think. And I started asking myself my why. Why was I there? Thousands of miles away from home, away from family. I had no family there. So I dug deep, and I knew deep inside my why. Deep inside, I really wanted to make my family proud. And I wanted to give back to my country. And you know, remembering that purpose brought me back to life. Now, this story ends well. I passed. despite what the dean had said. And what I discovered in that journey and that lesson of failure was that your goals will have much greater meaning when it is tied to reasons beyond yourself, your family, your faith, or even your community. Now, fast forward to today, many years later, I recently started a new role in Tutong. Who here is from Tutong? Ooh, hello. And you know what? It amazes me because I have met such amazing people who are so dedicated to their work that they use their core values to do extraordinary things. And one story in particular captivated me. A few years ago, there was a terrible flood, and it left many people stranded in their homes, unable to get access to the care that they needed. And one such man was a patient of ours at the hospital. And he was this poorly old man who was wheelchair-bound, and he needed special medical equipment. And his house was completely surrounded by water. One of our guys at the hospital was called by someone he knew and was told about this man. So an evacuation plan was set up with the help of the emergency command center, and our guy went along with them. You see, this old man's house was right by the river. And when it floods, there are crocodiles and snakes swimming around in the water. So imagine this. The rescue was done at nighttime. And it was so dark because the electricity had been cut off. And the army had warned everyone about snake bites and how to stay safe as much as possible. And our guy was so worried, he insisted on going because he knew that he was the only person who knew how to get there. After getting there, they then realized that they had to carry this man from the house to the boat with water this high. So imagine carrying this poor old man on their shoulders in the dark with just headlamps to see, walking through dark water this high, not knowing whatever was swimming in front of you, hoping that nothing was going to happen. Thankfully, everyone made it. I was so blown away by this guy's sheer dedication and selflessness. And just to let you know, he's not a medic. And he's not even trained in rescue. In fact, he works at the office in the hospital. And what he did was way beyond his role. So I asked him, "Were you afraid at all?" And he said, "Of course I was. Every time something brushed up against my leg, I would pray that it wasn't something I thought it was." And then I asked him again, "How did you have that courage?" You know what he said? "I don't know. It's just something I felt deep inside, something that I had to do." That courage comes from the strength of our values, what we stand for and what we believe in. So if you're going through difficult times at school or at work, ask yourselves, are your values aligned with your actions? And if you're not sure what your values are, that's okay. We're still trying to figure out, including those experts at the front. It's all about growth and discovery, so just keep your mind open to these new opportunities and step up to it. And through those experiences, you will find what resonates with you and what makes your heart sing. And when you start to hear these voices of saying, "Kau siapa? Who do you think you are?" at the back of your mind, even if it's from your own, and then doubt starts to creep in, and you begin to have fear, and you feel afraid to step up, I want you to remember these words of Marianne Williamson, that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people wouldn't feel insecure around you. because we are all meant to shine. And it's not just in some of us, it's in all of us. And as we let our light shine, we give permission for other people to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fears, our presence will liberate others. Isn't that such a beautiful message? Imagine how amazing Brunei would be if each of us can embrace that light that lies within us. That who we are is rooted in our values, in our sense of purpose. That your identity is not tied to your external circumstances. And you no longer need the validation from anybody else. Because that freedom will give you the courage to step up. Because as a small country, with a small population, guess what? Every single person counts. And if you're not sure where to begin, start wherever you are. Volunteer. Work part-time, keep your mind open to these new experiences and opportunities because there's just so much out there that there is no limit to your potential. And look us up on You Can Lead BN. I'm allowed to promote it, it's free. And it's completely free, guys. You Can Lead BN is where we share some of the best opportunities in Brunei and beyond. Opportunities like scholarships, events like this one, and even mentorships. Opportunities to help you get there. Because I have seen how a single opportunity can change the trajectory of your entire life. And some may still ask, why is it that the young generation is so important to us? I will leave you with the wisdom of His Majesty, taken by His Majesty's Tita from our 34th National Day celebration, where he reminds us that our country needs the young generation to step up, to have the courage towards development, that they must take the opportunities to improve themselves through programs offered inside and outside the country. They must be called forth to take up leadership roles in voluntary bodies and private organizations. The young generation, who are often rich with new ideas, must be brave to face many challenges because they are the hope that will give new breath to all the efforts in building this nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pangeran Dr. Noor Affizan. So don't be afraid to let your light shine. So ladies and gentlemen, are your values aligned with your actions? Ooh.
I think they're reflecting, which is a good thing.
It's going to take a while to figure this one out. Now, please note that we are running 30 minutes behind schedule. So if you are looking at the program book and at the timing, just add 30 for everything. Now we have the opportunity to find a little bit more out about Pangeran Doctor. Please welcome our first moderator. Now he helps people disagree and debate productively so that you can build a more innovative world together. Over the past 20 years, our moderator has negotiated and managed multi-million-dollar portfolios in various industries, as well as founded and failed at several startups before they were even called startups. He is currently the Startup Development Manager at Darussalam Enterprise. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together for Ruben Chin.
Hi.
My mic's not working. Oh, it's working
Yeah,
now.
no.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I've got so many questions for this doctor, but
no.
I'm told that I've only got up till 10 o'clock, which is 10 minutes.
All right.
So let me see, by a show of hands, how many of you in the audience actually have a question for the doctor? Let me see. Okay, let's change that question. How many of you have questions for this nice lady here, who's not a doctor? No? Okay, then let me start with the most important one. Tell me more about these crocodiles in Tutong. Because it floods at my house, but there are no crocodiles.
The reason why that story came up was because recently there was a flood in Tutong and I had to visit because of my new role. So I visited along with this man who came from the office, right, the one I told you. And we were just having lunch. And he just casually told me this story. I was so blown away. He was just like, oh, he just laughed it off. He just said, oh, yeah, usually we have snakes and crocodiles swimming in the water. And you know what? The water was this high. And I was just like, are you joking? How did you do that? And then he just kind of, because it was so normal to him, I think because of his values, he was like, why wouldn't I help this guy?
Because I might die.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Amazing. And you know what is really amazing is that, I don't know if you guys are aware, Tutong is where we keep the COVID patients, right? And these guys work so hard, especially through the pandemic when we had so many patients. I've heard really amazing stories about how heroic these people are, but no one knows about them, And I want to shine a light on these amazing people who really have dedicated their lives. They apparently, during that time, would only sleep 3-4 hours a day, and next day just get up and do it again.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, but I want to talk about the crocodile.
Okay, go ahead.
No, let's move on beyond the crocodile.
Yes.
So when this person told you about this story,
Yes.
just casually,
Yeah.
saying, oh, last night I went to pick up this old man.
No, it was
and
like a
there
couple of years ago, he
were-
said, yeah.
Okay, and there was this crocodiles and everything.
Yeah.
Did you, just out of curiosity, did you ask him, kau siapa?
No. More like, who are you?
So it wasn't a kau siapa.
More like
it was
amazement.
Like, kau siapa?
Yeah. Like, wow.
Okay. Is that what you guys feel too? I don't know. I'm talking to her and you guys are laughing, and I'm talking to you and nobody responds to me. See, I only have one friend in the room, you.
I know. It's okay, Ruben.
Kau siapa?
It's all right.
Okay, seriously though, there are I have a few questions in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, now most of the time when we talk about volunteerism or non-profits, we always tend to associate this kind of things with people who don't really have much going on in their lives.
No, not true
But
at all.
obviously you have a lot going on in your life. Because I can't even spell your occupation. I can't even spell, I can't pronounce it. What is it called? An
It's fine.
up-
Up. Just say I person.
And that's why I call her the doctor. Get it? So obviously you have a lot of things going on in your life.
Yeah.
Why do this? Why would you start? You can lead BN with podcasts. You do so many things. Why?
I think because when I was young, I had just so many, those feelings of doubt within me. People saying things like that around me, that was common. Sad to say, I often come across people who would say, who are you? I don't know who your dad is or what family you're from, etc. And I thought when I came back, when I finished, that I know I probably wasn't the only person who felt that. And I thought that if I could be that voice of support, even if just for one person or one kid, I think all this would be worthwhile.
So that triggered you and you did something about it, right?
Yeah.
So another question is, how many of you actually get questions like that from people when you want to do something like, who are you? How many
Or
of you
who
get
do you
that?
think
Let me
you
see,
are?
let me see. Raise them higher, come on. Now,
Or, right, do you really think you can do that?
Good. Now, for those of you who raised your hands, thanks for your honesty. For those of you who did not raise your hands, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. But now, what advice do you have for these guys here? Because they're starting on a journey that you took. So
Yeah.
what would you tell them to do now? If somebody tells them, kau siapa? What would you tell them?
I would say, that's a hard question, especially when you're just growing and getting to know yourself. Open your mind to these opportunities and experiences and find what you will value. Look for your values and your core beliefs. What is it that you want to stand for? Maybe it's, standing up for those who don't have anyone to fight for them. Maybe it's for standing up for, integrity or honesty or truth, whatever your values may be, right? And whatever it is, whenever it's difficult, like I said, look at your belief system, look at your values and, your actions. Are they aligned? If you are someone who values honesty and you're made to sell something that you don't believe in, you may have to ask yourself, is that worth it? Is that worth compromising who you are on the inside? Or should you find something that will align with your values?
So, for example, if my value was I will not jump into a river full of crocodiles,
Yeah, then don't
for some guy
compromise
I
that.
don't know,
If your value is safety,
so I don't jump.
yeah, don't jump.
For those of you who did not raise your hands, don't jump. But that's a much better advice than I would have given, because if somebody were to ask me that question, what advice would I give you when somebody asks kau siapa? I'll tell them your name. Kau siapa? Ruben. Siapa lagi? Ruben Chin. But this whole talk about value, right? It can get a little bit abstract. It's very difficult to catch, right?
It is.
Unless you have it and you've experienced it, then you know it. But for young people in the audience, it can be a bit difficult to really understand and grasp what's my values in life.
Absolutely.
So what can they do to go and try and find out what their values are in life are?
Volunteer, work part-time, try these new experiences you can lead. You are in the right place already. Talk to people, see what they do. Ask these guys at the front here, what do you guys do? And see if that resonates with you, if you feel, oh, that sounds so exciting, maybe I'll try. But never close your mind to opportunities. Try anything. Sometimes you may even figure out things that you've never experienced before that may end up being something that you truly love. You never know.
Okay, so just go and try. And if you don't know what to try, go find these people here.
Yeah, find these people. Or speak to the person next to you. They might have something that they really, love or want to fight for.
Don't ask them who they are. They know the trick now. I want to talk to you about, let's switch gears a little bit. Because you spoke about seeing the dean when you were failing your semester. Now, that's something that I would have never have guessed. I don't know if I should be worried if I go and see you, if you're my doctor. But, they do say that failure is the building blocks of success, right?
Yeah.
And in your case, you could have easily walked away and said, no, I don't want to do this doctor thing anymore. I'm going to go save people and hunt crocodiles or whatever.
Yeah.
You could have done that.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't.
And you stayed on and you became a doctor and you became a specialist. What gave you that drive?
I think those two things that I said earlier, I just want to make my family proud and I really wanted to give back to the country. And if I can do it through my smarts or academically, then I will. And like for you guys here, it's the same thing, you can give back in any way you want. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't have to be the fastest. Even if it's just something as simple as speaking to the cleaner. Because, just to acknowledge them and say, hello, how is it going? How's your day? That might even already make their day. Or even helping your little brothers do their homework. That could be enough. For me, it's all about adding value to the lives of others because I believe that that is where your happiness lies, not within yourself, but outside you.
I asked for one answer.
Sorry.
I said I had a lot of questions for her, but I've run out because I asked her one question, she answers 5. But that's good value for you guys. Any questions from the floor? Yes, sir.
Hi.
Hi, Iz. Yes, I remember you, but it's not for me, it's for her. Come on.
So I was just thinking, there sitting down, you were talking about values and how as we grow up, we try to find our values. And I know that as a doctor, you're going to have to go through a lot of ethical issues. And I'm sure that even outside of being a doctor, you're going to have to meet or face different ethical issues that will test your values, and test your personality, and test and question literally everything you stand for. Have you ever experienced that? And how would you see that, like that issue, and turn it into an opportunity? Thank you.
Wow. That's a really deep question. Thank you, Iz. Thank you. I love that question. Actually, that happened to me probably about 5 years ago. I was at that time doing my specialist training, and that was when my values and my actions clashed. Because of where I worked, it was so fast-paced and such a rat race that, it was all about time. So there was not really this value about, helping patients or whatever. It wasn't even there anymore. It was just about crunching the numbers. And then that's when I started losing myself. and I compromised, my values, and I became so toxic. I didn't like myself. No one liked me either. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, when you're so toxic that people don't, or people around you don't like you. So I had to, again, rediscover my purpose and just realign my values and try to change the way I think a little bit and reframe and change whatever that you were doing. If as I said earlier, whatever that you're doing, if it compromises your values, I would say, ask yourself, is it worth it?
I could never imagine you being toxic, but anyway. We've got time for one last question before mine. The lady in blue. I think there's a microphone at the back. Could you just use that?
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. My name is
Salam.
Noor Affizan from Atabduli. I strongly believe in terms of core values. I totally agree with you. That is what I have been implemented with my students. What about, cases whereby that you have had experience that the students tell you that it's not what I want, it's my parents. They are the one who tell me what to do, and I have to be obedient. So do you have any suggestions how to deal with that?
Oh,
Thank
that's not an easy question either. But you know what?
Thank you for the question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chigua.
Doctor, be careful with this one.
I know.
There
Are we
are
recording?
parents in
cut
the
it,
room.
Cut it now. No, just joking. Actually having spoken at schools and spoken to so many students, I share that sentiment as well. Like I had students who came up to me with the same question, what do I do, especially when it's something my parents want. So it's hard, especially when you're still a dependent. I would say just keep going with their studies and finish. And then I would say, if you want, maybe sit down and talk to your parents and explain to them why. Maybe, the communication wasn't as clear, but it's about having that clear communication with your parents. At the end of the day, your parents want one thing, for your success. That's all they want. And maybe they might think what your way is not gonna bring you that, right? But what if you talk to them and explain to them that this will give you so much happiness and fulfillment, and that, look, if you give me a chance, I'll prove it to you. Just give me 2 years, compromise, discuss, negotiate. So learn from these guys how to negotiate, right? So why not? Communicate with your parents. If you think it's impossible, then show them.
Okay, I'll try again tonight. Okay, I've got one last question for you before we go off.
Okay.
We're out of time. That one last question is actually your question.
Okay.
And since you're a doctor, I might as well ask you,
Uh-huh.
when can we travel?
There are many questions that we still don't know the answers to yet. I don't know, honestly. Hopefully not too long from now, but I can't say anything.
But while we can't travel, we might as well do something in the country, right?
Yes.
And if we're going to do something in the country, we might as well make it productive, right?
Yes.
And if we're going to make it
earlier,
productive, it
yes.
might as well be fun, right?
Like I told you, this year, we have seen the launch of so many new youth initiatives. Imagine, of all the years, this year, collaborations, you see suddenly creative arts everywhere. People are just doing what they love, which is great. We have that time.
Yep. So I hope that this session has been helpful, and I hope that it sparks you to at least try and do something. And if people ask you, kau siapa, what do you say? That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to both
Thank
Pengin
you.
and Dr. Noor Affizan and to Ruben.